Okay, I haven't done a video in a while. Hopefully this will work. I've tried to make sure the camera's a bit closer. Maybe the audio will be better, maybe it won't. This next series is going to be about making bookends. I've got arbitrary piece of wood here. I'm just going to set the lengths based on not having crappy knotty bits like this in it. So this is going to be an upright, and it's going to be this long. We get rid of the crappy bit. Now, very roughly, that's going to be the 1.6. That's going to be the 1. As I said, very rough. And it's going to be right in the middle of it. No, that's all right, I'll round that one off. So we'll go for about there. There's no exact measurements to this, it's all more about making sure that the wood's not too unusual, difficult to work with, things like that. This is just a cheap and cheerful fence slat that I got from the local Obi. It's probably a bit of spruce, but I'm not 100% sure. Could be pine, could be fir, don't know. It's sold as an SPF. They don't get into the specifics of it. Seems like I need a new blade for this knife. Good job I have a nice large packet of them, but I'm not going to do it now. This is a very rough cut because it's all going to get shot square anyway. Just in case you were wondering. So, basic idea, something like that. What I'm hoping to do on these ones is to see if I can flatten this off a bit, rip it in half, and use it as a shorten it and use it as a decorative centerpiece. But I've no idea whether it'll work or not, so I would say stay tuned, but that's entirely up to you. Now, always helps to take the label off. I normally dovetail these things together purely because I like and enjoy making the dovetails. Get off. That was the manufactured end. It's nice and square. Because this was machine made and cut and planed and such like, I'm not too worried about having to flatten it or to make it parallel. So, in case you're wondering why I'm not doing that, that's the reason. Honestly, the only reason I'm squaring this side off is because it means that I can make mistakes with marking up the dovetails and not be too worried about it. There will be some form of arch maybe on these at the end. I haven't decided. There might not be. Who knows? And again, because it's a machined board, it doesn't really make that much difference to me which side I use as a reference. not bad for a first go. It's a very hippie cut, that. It's very out of square. Close enough for dovetails. Oh man, done it again. Close enough for me not to worry about it. So, one of the things I wanted to show, not for any particular reason, but just in case people ask on some of the forums I'm on in the future for a demonstration, this is a little, it's not really a jig, it's a fixture because it just holds the work, it doesn't take it to the tool. But the idea is that this is a very definite 90 degrees, it's been glued, so I know it's correct. Doesn't really matter if it's not, but I'll tell you right now it is. A bracing piece underneath here and a reference piece on the side. The idea is that when it comes to cutting your dovetails, what do I want? I want the tails and the long ones. So, just for argument's sake, I'm going to mark the tails on this long piece. You get some small clamps, it makes it easier. You don't need these, you can hold it in a vise, it just makes it easier for me to demonstrate. Cold fingers. So that's the bit that you're going to be cutting into. This would be one of the mating pieces. Now again, because this is all manufactured material, I'm not worried about it being parallel. But what you can do with this, you can, if you've got your bit of wood sitting proud, for example, you think, oh well, that's not right. you all know the idea with dovetails is that the tails are cut to a depth that you would cut down there that should be equal to the bit of wood that it's going into. Now you can see here it's not, but what you can do, you can put one of these pieces here, put another piece on the top and hit it. And if you hit it hard, it goes too far. If you hit it gently, you end up with that. Alright, so you have now set the height of your workpiece that you're going to cut the tails in to match the pin board. Now, you're also up against the reference, which means that when you've got this face and your reference face together, you know that you're sitting parallel to the top piece. So what you can do, you can clamp that in your vise. You can replace the clamps here if you don't like the small ones. I personally prefer these ones. If anybody likes clamps, these X-Tool ones are pretty excellent as far as clamps go. So there you've got your workpiece clamped. You now have this surface as a reference, so you can come in and you can say, okay, I'm going to start cutting my tails. And when you're down on that line, you know you're basically in the right place. So and because it's a sacrificial board, and let's face it, you can make these as often as you like, don't worry too much about cutting into it. It doesn't really make any difference. Now, having got that, you can then say to yourself, but I need to have a mark to cut to, which is where you get a reasonably sharp chisel and you come in and you make a knife mark, or in this case a chisel mark, as if it was just a normal paring cut. Because you still have that same reference surface, you know that mark that you cut matches to your tailpiece. As you can see there. So, time to cut the tails out. Now I'll show you how it works with the pin. Maintenant, il y a de la ligne. Only turning this round so I can see the line. If you had gone to the trouble of pencil marks and all of that, you'd be able to see it all. This is a very rough dovetail, but Does still need to be square. Bit difficult to see on the camera, but we now have square and level on all of the excavation I've just done. Now, back to wee little Jiggy. Now, in this instance, we're doing the tail piece. So he's going to be sitting in there somewhere around here. We can bring in another piece to act as a level. Bring it down. Level it out. Now, if you wanted, if you're of a mind, you can just mark your tails, mark your pins like that. Yeah, you're up against the reference surface, you measure it, you're coming off against your two ends. This gives you exactly what you need to be able to do it. The other way you can do it, again, if you're of a mind to, you can actually set the tail piece, the tail piece level with the top of the jig, and then do it that way. It's really up to you. It doesn't really make any difference as long as you make sure that you're registered well against your reference plane and that your edges are right, which will then let you mark. Personally, it doesn't make any difference to me. If you're not sure about dovetails, if you want to use this and you want to use it to its maximum capability, I suppose you could say, if you set to there, then you come to mark your tails, your pins. You must get that right. In that way. There's your chop line. You don't need to mark both sides, but if you want to completely mark out the dovetail, you can. As I say, you don't need to. Now, if you are going to cut with it, it is better to have the stronger clamp in. Again, you can use the top as a reference. Another thing that you can do, and it's the reason that the block underneath is there, if you want, you can't do it with this one because of the reference part, but if you have one that doesn't have the reference part, you can actually drop that down so it's on your bench, and then you lose the vibration that you can see that I'm getting. But it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, really. Doesn't really matter. Done enough of that jig. Don't need to worry about that now. I personally do like to have the verticals in, by the way, just saves me grief. Also means I can put the work down, go and have a cup of tea, come back and know what I'm doing. For what it's worth, that hand cut dovetail's not actually come too different to the angle, really. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Those of you with the ear for it will be able to tell that my saw needs some work. Those of you who haven't, my saw needs some work. Now, you will have noticed that I didn't use the jig to scribe the line on this. There's absolutely no reason for that, other than I'm just as comfortable doing it by hand as I am any other way. The jig demonstration was just that, to demonstrate ways that you can do the jig. And apologies, it should be a fixture, it's not a jig. If you want to get dictionary perfect. My coping saw skills leave a bit to be desired as well. Struggling to get on with this particular tool, but this is a quick video and a quick dovetail, so I'm not paying a great deal of attention. It's also very soft wood, which is why you see me doing the chisel manually rather than with a mallet. For those of you that might be cringing at what I'm doing to my workbench, it's in the name. It is a workbench. It gets worked on. It's not a collectible. Not too bad, considering how much of a short, quick job it was. It's also worth noting, nice and parallel on that edge. Any excess is coming off of here. I'm going to plane down these edges anyway. How are we looking on the inside? There's a small gap on the inside. I'm only doing these things more because I want to work out the design rather than wanting to make anything perfect at the moment. But it's the sort of thing that if you've got bits of plane shavings, it's something I do sometimes. You see, desperately trying to find a thick bit. That's all sort of wood. What you can do is you can take a bit of a shaving, work it down inside so that the gap becomes less visible. It's up to you how you want to do that. Generally, I find that it's one of the good reasons to have lots of plane shavings on your floor. The other one being it keeps your toes warm. So you can see the difference between the filled gap and not filled the gap. So that's the sort of thing I'll fix when I actually come to glue it together. So I'm nice and flush here, and I've got a bit of cleaning off to do here. So I'm going to knock this on the head now, and the next video I'll have done the other dovetail. I'll have sorted something out for this, and I'll start by ripping off that bit of wood, finishing it down, and then looking to see how I actually attach it. Alright, have a good night.